Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the 2-3 Zone, Tony'sPicks.com's look at the WNBA. I'm with Ron Crawford here today, and we're going to take a look at three games on Wednesday and Commissioner's Cup action. I don't know if it's heating up, Ron, or if we're just reaching the point where we're actually going to find out already who's going to be representing, at least here in the Western Conference. We got a big one to look at here in this one. And hey, what'd you think last time we spoke? How about the game there on Monday night, Ron, with Golden State and LA? Had a nice, exciting overtime game, but the Valkyries continue to prove themselves, better than expansion, I'd say.
Yep, Valkyries on the road has been cashing, and we got the Valkyries plus the points. Fortunately, got to overtime. Guess what happened to my under? That just went right out the window. So that's what happens when it goes to overtime. Dogs and over. So yep, it went to overtime, and I lost my under. So we'll get bounced back in this one tonight.
Yeah, I'd almost give credit, kind of to the Valkyries there for the defense that they kind of played. I guess, but maybe it was inefficient offense there for the last 4 or 5 minutes of the game. There was a big drought there for sure, but just it ended up there as a tie at the end of the game, and so didn't go over there.
Plum hits that runner, I win. So everybody wins.
Not only that, though, Golden State continuing to impress here early on in the season. So maybe you could say the league did a good job of putting that team together, or I don't know, maybe expansion teams aren't supposed to be this good. We've seen both, I think, in other sports here last couple.
Yeah, playing good on the road too. That's a big plus for sure.
That's the impressive thing, right? That's when the team is pretty legit. Okay, we're going to look at our three games here right now for Wednesday, and we're on the West Coast, Ron. We got late games here.
All late starts.
Yeah, but like I said, we've got that extra game in the Western Conference, so that's what we've got to kind of determine. But look, I would say, I guess, Ron, it doesn't get any bigger than this, at least for the Commissioner's Cup in the Western Conference. Minnesota is going to take on Seattle. Yeah, we haven't played all the way through the schedule yet, but we're more than halfway through, and you have Minnesota 3-0 in the Commissioner's Cup. Seattle 2-1. Minnesota still 9-0 overall. 5-4 are the Storm coming in. Minnesota favored by 4.5 here, 155. But Ron, this is it for Seattle. I mean, it's going to be Minnesota in the West unless Seattle can pull off the upset and throw things into a bit of a quandary here in the Commissioner's Cup. This is the biggest game, I believe, that the Western Conference will have in determining their representative.
I agree, and I'm going to have to take those points at home with Seattle. They're 9-0 Minnesota, but do they win the game? They probably win the game, but I'm gonna look for the cover at least for Seattle. They're gonna come to play, and maybe even give them their first loss. We'll see what happens, but I'm taking Seattle plus 4.5.
Yeah, I don't doubt what you've said about this Seattle team. They still feel like a pretty decent team, right, at 5-4 overall right now. And again, they had actually come into this game, Ron, having won consecutive games against Phoenix, against Dallas, but nonetheless, a pretty good time to be on a little run here because this is the big game, it feels like. And, it'll kind of give them a little bit of an upper hand, too, because they'll have that one heads-up victory. So this is the game of the Commissioner's Cup month here to go. I'm going to go over in this one. Seattle 2-1 to the over as a dog. Look, the number looks like it's moving slightly down, and I know these two teams will have some D. You do have two pretty standout teams at a low total here, but I guess I'm not falling for the bait. I'm going to go over 155 with Minnesota and Seattle. I just think we got pretty good teams here, and I don't know if it's going to be a hold down here. It was 82-77, Ron, if you remember that game back on May 27th. Minnesota won, but Seattle got the money, I believe, in that one.
Yeah, they were at home, and we know Minnesota really doesn't cover that well at home. So, sure enough, Seattle got the money on that one.
Good point. Okay, so Ron says take the Storm plus 4.5, and I'll say go over 155. All right, we're going to continue on with Commissioner's Cup action. Phoenix has a right to feel like they're one of the teams still alive here with their 2-2 record right now. They're 6-4 overall, taking on a Dallas team that is 1-9 overall, 0-3 in the Commissioner's Cup. Coming into this one, Ron, Phoenix is favored by 5.5 at home. The total 167.5, and hoping to get Paige Beckers in this game here and for Dallas, but Phoenix at home favored.
Yeah, I'm going to lay with Phoenix. I just don't trust this Dallas team on the road, and you really can't trust them at home. You look at the way it's been going, but definitely going to look at the Phoenix Mercury at home in this one. I think they lay it, and they probably win by double digits.
Yeah, Dallas just 3-7 against the spread so far. Yeah, they're 1-9, so maybe that is a okay stat, but still, 3-2 against the spread on the road is something that you could note as a positive for Dallas. Phoenix comes in 3-1 to the over as a favorite. I know Dallas has been under in all their games as an underdog, except one so far, 1-6 to the under as a dog, but Phoenix won 3 of the 4 meetings last year, and all 4 meetings went over last season. So I'm going to go over 167.5 here with Dallas and Phoenix in this one. Maybe I've turned the tide here. I was putting out a lot of unders, and I'm going to go over in this one. So
I'm with you on that one too. Yep.
Ron says take Phoenix minus 5.5 here, and I say go over 167.5. Okay, we don't want to leave out the Aces, Ron. They still are going to have a shot. They're going to have a legitimate shot here still, but they'll need a little help from that Seattle team if they're going to have a chance, because they have one loss in the Commissioner's Cup. They are 1-1. LA is 1-2. We just talked about their loss there to Golden State last night, so they're pretty much toast here right now in the Commissioner's Cup. They're 3-7 overall. Vegas just 4-3, 3-4 ATS. Note, Ron, that LA 3-1 against the spread on the road. They're getting 11.5 here, brother, and the total 166.5. Aces at home.
Man, you talk about some bad spots for the Sparks. Oh man, they caught Vegas off of the Seattle blowout. Now they're catching Vegas off another blowout by Golden State. Horrible spot again for the Sparks. I think if the Sparks played them maybe straight up after not a blowout, they might be actually a good game. But the first time they got blown out, and they're going to get blown out again here. Again, the Aces have been stewing on that loss on Saturday, just like they did when they lost at Seattle by 20, and then they just blew the Sparks out. Poor Sparks, man. It's just a bad spot. Once again, lay it with the Aces. They're going to blow them out.
Yeah, and you could do a little comparison of the teams against Golden State, although that might be unfair. We mentioned the 89-81 overtime win by the Valkyries over LA, and of course Golden State shocked them there. Remember in that game, 95-68, they beat the Aces at home.
Horrible, and they've been thinking about that. Guarantee it.
Right. So when we're trying to talk about the Valkyries a little bit, it's got to say something. I mean, how can a team like these Aces? Look, they're feeling complacent too often right now. This team is too good to be doing something like that, but they are going to be a little bit more concerned here with a win. So Ron says take them, lay 11.5, and I've got another over here. 3 of the 4 meetings went over last year. Las Vegas won and covered 96-81 in that other game already this season. That was an over, and it was about the same number here at 167.5. So I've got a trio of overs here on our show today. Ron says lay the Aces here minus 11.5, and I'll say go over 166.5. All right, that's going to do it for our look at Wednesday's action in the WNBA and the Commissioner's Cup. Who's going to get that money when the ladies finally decide here in the Western Conference? We'll have more Eastern Conference action as well when we get together for more 2-3 zone here on the Tony's Picks YouTube channel. Ron, right now, middle of the week here, let us know what's happening over at Tony'sPicks.com.
Yep, still rolling with the NBA and the NHL playoffs, and still number 1 there up the top of leaderboards and at WNBA. So hey, I'm still pulling it out and getting it done. So yeah, again, that whole season pass that is still available and was #1 last year and top of the leaderboards this year again. So go get that season pass right now at Tony's Picks. That'll take you all the way through October and the playoffs.
And I'll have my plays over there also at tonyspicks.com. Make sure you check us out over there. Use the promo code TonyT at checkout. Save 15% off all of our premium pick packages. We're firing away in the WNBA. We cover it extensively here on the Tony's Picks YouTube channel, so you can trust our team to bring you some winners. If you're having a little trouble or looking for some great advice, head on over to tonyspicks.com and check out the handicappers over there. Check out those handicapper leaderboards. See Ron there on top of the WNBA boards. And yeah, check out me over there. Been pretty hot over the last 30 days, right near the top with the guys over there at Tony's Picks. All right, that's going to do it for the 2-3 zone. And for Ron Crawford, I'm Ramon Scott. Thank you for joining us.
Good luck, guys.